Why does the universe exist? I think to begin the answer to this question, we can ask, why does anything that we create exist? In other words, why do we create anything? And to that, we can say it's for life. We create stuff to aid our ability to live, right? But what is the highest aspect of life? What is sort of the ultimate goal, so to speak, of life? I would say it's to come to know ourselves. Everything else that we create, whether it's for transportation like cars or food technology, it's ultimately to keep living. But just as civilization shows us, that after we've taken care of our basic needs through the things we invent through civilization, right, through improved technology, then what do we do with our time? Now we create the higher activities of man, like art, science, religion, these things, right? And if you really try to narrow down the ultimate essence of these things, you come to realize that we create these things that what we're ultimately chasing, what we're after, is a heightened knowledge of ourselves, right? And I would say that this is the exact same reason that the universe exists for God, right? Exists for that the universe exists, right? And that's because whatever we are a part of, whatever greater mind, greater organism entity that we call, in scientific terms, the universe, but if you want to call it God or the absolute or whatever else you want to call it, the same applies. It's one thing, right? Universe, like unicycle. One tire on a unicycle, universe, one universe, right? So the thing is, when you're one entity, like very much like yourself, you can't actually see yourself, right? So you're one thing, right? You're this amalgamation of things, of course. Let's not forget that, but your sense of self, what you are, ultimately is one experienced sense of self, one you, right? You can't see yourself. Let's switch hands here, getting tired. You can't actually see yourself. If you look in a mirror, it's reflected, right? There's distortion. Same thing with the camera. You'll never actually be able to see yourself directly. So the best thing that you can do is create things outwardly, right? And that's like if you create a song or a poem, we create these things, right? And then when we read them back or look at them, they reveal something about ourselves to us, right? And in that same way, I think that's what the creator of the universe is doing. It had to create something outside of itself to learn something about itself, because it's not enough for, right, just as like with yourself, right? Let's look to fractals for this for a moment, right? The thing with fractals is self-similarity, right? So there's the smaller shapes are the same as the bigger shapes ad infinitum. And this is where we get the Hermetic principle of as above, so below. But you can apply this to yourself, right? Where if you look at your own impulses, which you are after, then we can sort of ascertain what the impulses of greater mind are, this greater organism that we're a part of. And so just as you are trying to understand yourself, trying to come to an understanding of what you are, so too is greater mind, right? So where this really gets interesting is if you look at your own productions, the things that you create to come to know yourself, whether it's journaling or art or just talking with friends, right? I think I've come to realize that if you ask yourself, what is the ultimate thing that I can create that would remind me of who I am, right? Because have you had this experience where you might have had a profound period in life where you really feel like you know yourself, some experience, or maybe you've done a creative work that made you feel that you come to know yourself greater than ever before, and yet you always lose that. You wake up in the morning and it's gone, right? And so I ask myself, what is the ultimate thing that I could create that would remind me of who I am? And I think I've realized it's the ultimate thing that you could create is a universe, right? And of course, we're just little humans, so we can't create a universe like this. But the ultimate thing that mind itself could create is a universe that then it itself inhabits, it lives inside of that universe. So in that way, that's what you and I are. That's why it's proper to say you are God. It's not that you are God Almighty sitting out there like some sort of demiurge creating the universe, or rather, you are God inside of its own creation, looking back at itself. And the reason this needs to be the case, and that's your role in the cosmos, is you are, by your own productions, by your own activities, your own journey, experiencing the universe, right? So think about it. You are God experiencing itself from inside itself. Why? So that what you create and in the sharing of the things that you create with other human beings creates this thing we call culture, right? And this thing called culture altogether is sort of like it's the thoughts of God. We are contributing to the thoughts of God. We are allowing God, this greater mind, to come to know itself. And that's why the universe exists. The universe is the ultimate creative endeavor, the ultimate creative art project of greater mind, for the sole purpose of it to come to know itself. Because it's not enough to just be itself, just as it's not enough. You're not content with just being yourself. You already are what you are, but you're not content there, are you? You want to know yourself. And that's why we have these cycles of alienation, in and out, losing ourselves, finding ourselves, losing ourselves, finding ourselves. And that's why the universe exists. Hope that made some amount of sense. I'll catch ya.